Okay. Wow, this has been a really emotional meeting already. So do we have any items from the public, Cameron? No? Okay, so moving on, do we have approval of the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda.
Okay, do I have a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, on our consent calendar, it's a little bit longer than usual. We have 5 items. Even though item C is a resolution based on where it's placed, we can go ahead and just approve all 5 items at one time. Does anyone have any questions on A, B, C, D, or E at this time? Any questions or comments? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar? Director Huffer,
I'll move approval of consent calendar items A through E.
a second?
I'll second that.
Director Nichols, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, so we have a deferred matter of our budget. I'm going to open up our public hearing. Public hearing for the budget is now open. Do we have anyone here online to give a comment on that? Cameron, nobody's here. So I think we're going to turn this over to, yes, you have a comment? Oh, no, you were just. Oh, okay. I'm used to that in school. Did you raise your hand? I was just stretching. All righty, so would you like to comment on this, Mrs. Smith?
Sure. So we have no changes from the version that we discussed 2 weeks ago at the last meeting. And just a reminder that as a policy matter, we'll be carrying over some projects that are not able to be completed by June 30, and we'll be reporting to you which those projects are when we do the year-end budget adjustments in a month or 2. So that's all I have, and I'm available for questions.
Do we have any questions for Mrs. Smith, Director Nichols?
Yeah, just one question. I forgot to ask staff earlier. On our spreadsheet, the 10-year capital improvement plan spreadsheet, on item A.03, on the far right column, it says increase from $100. Is that actually $100,000? Just wanted to verify. Okay. Okay. I thought so. Lost in translation, yes. It's on page 68. Well, it's actually the page after 68.
The pullout.
It's the,
Where is that exactly? I would like to see that.
on the far right-hand side, item 8.03.
Oh, I see. Increase from $100.
Yes. Okay. I thought so, but I just wanted to verify. Thank you. That was all the questions I had.
And I would like to thank you for bringing that up, Director Nichols. I think that gave us all a little bit of amusement here. Or it can show just how incredibly efficient we are in marking that if it was just $100 and it made it onto this form. So do we have any other questions? Okay, I was wondering, it seems that normally on these sheets that we have like much more. So is this pretty typical of what we're doing in a year? I'm looking at the same spreadsheet. I see we have quite a few renovations here of playgrounds.
Fairly loaded up, and as part of the recommendation was, just our normal carryover projects from year 1 to year 2. So there'll be quite a few projects that will carry over, bleed over from this current year to next fiscal year. So
Okay, so all of these have not been started yet, and they are slated
correct.
to be starting after July.
1st, yes.
Okay,
Correct.
great. All righty, and can we add things as we go if we have the money for it? Because we have this $100 and everything.
Yes, yes, we have the ability to, take, a new capital project to the board for appropriation. Correct.
Okay, thank you. So, I guess it's time now that we want to see if we're in favor of the adoption of this budget. Do I have anybody that would like to make a motion for this? Would you like to, Director Nichols?
I'll be happy to, Madam Chair.
Thank
I'd like
you.
to move that we adopt resolution number 061622-A and that it be read in title only and all further readings be waived.
Okay, thank you. And do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
And can we have that read?
Resolution number 061622-A, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Caneo Recreation and Park District adopting the fiscal year 2022-2023 budgets for the district.
Okay,
Well done, Jay.
very nice. All in favor of accepting this budget or this resolution?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we're going to, do I need to close this hearing? I'm gonna Close it anyway. So this public hearing is now closed. And we're going to move on for items for discussion. And we'll start with the drought response. Mr. Hare.
Yes, thanks, Chair Cusworth, members of the board. Standing here, because you'll see, we're going to put up a few things up on the screen. I just want to point them out to you. But again, a little history lesson that you're well aware of. From the last drought, we did quite a bit of work. We've spent over $5 million on capital projects, water-wise projects, and we're committed to spend over $300,000 per year going forward. We've got a lot of projects we're thinking about doing this year also. In quick summary, we've converted 70 acres of turf. We've converted a couple parks from potable water to reclaimed water. And we've developed a lot of other parks with some other different water-wise improvements, resulting in a 33% reduction average over the last 7 or 8 fiscal years. So we've been doing really well. However, while we're here tonight, is because we're here again, and we've had this last couple items. We are in a drought. On March of last year, of this year, we provided the board with different guidelines, like a tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 of what happens if something like this happens. And then that was back in March. And then in May, the city of Thousand Oaks enacted what they call their level 4 restrictions, which seeks a reduction of 31 to 40% of the water usage in the city of Thousand Oaks, allowing for 1 day of outdoor watering per week. It's 15 minutes per station, and then parks got an extra day. So when that came in, we knew that was coming ahead of time because we've been talking with the city quite a bit in Cayugas and MWD. So we're already we're enacting that tier 1 that we talked about back in March. So this is we've done some work, we are doing some work, and we have some work planned. And I'm just going to give you a few quick looks at what we're doing at some parks. As you can see, so phase 1 and phase 2 were 5, 6, 7 years ago, and the phase 3 is the new water-wise improvement projects that we're doing, whether it's a turf conversion or improving some irrigation. So if you're looking at this is Thousand Oaks Community Park, if you can see that phase 3, I'll actually point it out. Green area here. One area here at Thousand Oaks Community Park. That's going to net us almost a half an acre of turf reduction. We're also doing what you can't see here. We're also doing a main line improvements and some other irrigation improvements for the front half of the park. We did a similar one on the rear half of the park a couple of years ago, like where the sports fields are. So this is going to be about a low $200,000 project to do all of this. So this is a huge project for us to do. We're doing it through our current contract that we have with the drought response contractor. Okay, Cameron, go ahead, next one. Or you want me to do it? But this should be there or that should be there? Everybody did? Okay. And then this is a Newberry Gateway Park. Here at Newberry Gateway Park. It's small, but it's something that's 2,500 square feet. So that's, that's about more than a 20th of an acre, but still significant for the size of the park that's there. Come on, Lauren, it's not that fun.
Tom, while you're there, with the numbers 1, 2, and 3 with different shades of colors, that's different than the phase 1, 2, and 3 we see here, or is that one and the same? The 1, 2, 3 on the park, is that the same as phase 1, 2, 3 in this table?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
So, and this is what's up on our website. Okay. What we're trying to do, it's good, oh, we're there, we hit it. We're at the third one. And then on the, and then a community park. We never had a phase 1 at community park, but we had a phase 2, but here's phase 3, just this little entryway here. And that's, again, another small area. But I show you these just to give you an example. We've got other parks where we have some planning that, or things that we're executing. But as far as the tier 1 goes, and that's part of exhibit 1 of your board report, tier 1 is up to 11 acres. That our notification process is that we're putting signs in those affected areas that say water conservation project in progress. So the community can see that something's going to happen here. The first things first was turn off the water. And then we'll eventually get to doing a conversion there, whether it's decomposed granite or some planting, drought tolerant planting. So, but just to let the public know that's what we're doing. And what we're trying to do also at the same time is referring folks to our website so they could see, this particular map so they can see the whole, the big picture, that it's not, because a lot of times people go, well, it's just my park that you're doing it to. So they could actually click on every single park that we have on our website, and we're doing turf conversion, so they can see the whole depth of what we're doing. So this is just a quick example of what we're doing as far as the tier 1 level. We're doing district wide, but one of the big issue which we're addressing. Mark, you had the magic fingers. I got one more to go. I went backwards that time. I want to go forward. Hey, all right. One of the bigger issues is Page Lane Neighborhood Park. We broke ground on that in January. We're just getting ready to install the landscaping. We're about less than a month away from doing trees, plants, and turf. And if so these 3 green areas represent 3 acres of the 14-acre park. Technically, under the city's current ordinance, we can go ahead with the project as is, because this was pre restrictions. But with that said, and we've had a lot of conversations with the city, a couple things that are more than likely to happen, or we're probably looking at, if things get worse, no outdoor watering. So if you remember when Dan Jurgen was here from Cayugas, even though he guessed that the parks would remain, for like, I don't say intact, but receive some exemptions or some additional watering days. Even though there might be no outdoor watering, there is a possibility that there would be no outdoor watering at this park or any of our parks. Or they do some other different restriction. So we present some options here, options A, B, and C. A was just to keep going forward and just, let it go, full speed ahead. Option B was kind of the compromise one, where it was, let's do the trees and the shrubs and not the turf, to mulch the turf and to see what happens. Because to us, the worst thing that would happen would be we would turf it and it just gets established. It looks really good. And then, hey, no outdoor watering, and all that 3 acres of turf you just planted, it's gone, and it's not worth it. So we just kind of want to see what's going to go, what's going to happen. We want to mulch it, but open up the park to the community, because the park will still have, it'll still be a viable park with the pathways, the playground, the basketball court, the volleyball court. So it'll still be a viable park, but instead of turf, they'll have mulched areas. But that's what we believe should be the option that we would like to go. It probably will cost us a little bit more. We estimate about another $175,000, and that's because you have to do the mulch. You have to, and that would be, we're estimating putting the sod or seed back in maybe in the springtime or in the wintertime, depending on how things go. That'd be best case scenario. And then you have to obviously get rid of all the mulch and do all the different soil amendments and all the different things you have to do to keep the turf alive. And then there's option C, which would be to just like would be to mulch it and then not even do the trees and landscaping, and just have like no irrigation whatsoever, and then see how it would go in the future. Because again, with the possibility of no outdoor watering. So we feel the best option, and again, talking with the city too, they feel it's the best option, was to kind of like split the baby, do the trees and the planting and not the turf. And also it's kind of, and we've talked quite a bit about being a leader in the community. And yes, I do believe this community deserves a park, but they also deserve turf. But it's a good wait and see approach to see where we're going to be at. Because again, if we're out there watering, 6 times a day, keeping the seed and the sod wet so it can grow and establish its roots, and it's August, and it just is not a good look for us within the community. So we talked about, so these are our immediate plans. This is what we're doing now. These are our plans for the big park and what we've been doing district wide. We're going to see what happens. I think we'll have a much better understanding of what's going on probably mid to late August on what the next steps are going to be for the drought. Definitely keep everybody apprised on what's going on and how we're responding and what the statistics are. Again, we run about 5 to 6 weeks behind as far as mid-June is when we actually get the data for May. So we're always a little bit behind because that's just how the system works. So, but I'll keep with our monthly water reports, and anytime anything important comes up, I'll definitely share with the board what's going on. But I said, like, kind of like bigger picture thing is with it's actually interesting. We're one of the bigger users in the community, and I'd asked the question to the city, like, well, where are we as far as percentage wise? What are are we? How much water do we use for the whole community? And their estimation is actually residences use about 70% of the water in the community, and businesses and agencies such as ourselves are the other 30%. And even though, again, we were big users and they couldn't put their finger on it right away, maybe we're 1%, 2% total, something like that overall. But we're a small percentage of the entire picture. But again, being a single user and being highly visible, it's our duty and responsibility to be very prudent with our water, and hopefully to set the example for everybody else. So we want to be, again, like part of the solution and the education for the Cayugas and for the city and Cal-Am and Cal Water. So what we started is, we talked about the on-site signage that we're doing for the particular projects that we're doing. But then we also, a week ago, we started putting out these signs, and it's really just a summary of how awesome we are, water conservation, parks are essential to the community, and whatever we just talked about before, what we've done in the past and what beautiful things we've done. And we've got about 250 of these signs out through the community, just letting you know that, hey, we're good at what we're doing, and we're trying our really best, and here's our success that we've been doing. So these signs have been out since late last week, beginning of this week. And then we're just putting out some signs now at the playfields and community parks. So here's the big message. You can all see that. It's protect our parks, lose your lawn. And it's actually been, on a, I think we're just starting to put these out today and tomorrow. And it's kind of interesting coming even, I can't remember if it was the one that Nellie was at actually, I don't think so, the Lynn Oaks meeting I was at. I don't know, one gentleman did say, we'll talk about that later on in the Parks Division report, but, hey, the meeting was over and he just said, hey, just want to let you know, you guys are awesome. I love this place. It's so well maintained. I just love everything about Lynn Oaks Park. It's awesome. It's awesome. Awesome. And then he goes, I really consider this my front lawn. And I go, what a segue. And then we started talking about drought response and the things we want to do and how we want to protect the parks and lose the lawn. And the 20 people that were there were just like, okay, I get it. I understand the gravity of the situation and that the importance of parks are to the community. So it was really well received. And again, hopefully the message getting out, because remember we said the residents are about 70% of the water usage in the whole community. So it's about a collective effort, a significant collective effort from everybody, not just the park district, not just the city, not just the school district. Everybody's got to chip in to do that. So I'm available for questions, any discussion on anything, and I will sit down somewhere else.
Excellent presentation. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Pointing at me,
Director
okay.
Nichols. Well, it's hard if you don't get your hand up really quick.
I tell you,
Then I turn my
it's-
head
it's a rough crowd. I tell you, appreciate
and
it.
try to find somebody else.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hare, for not only the presentation, but also the forethought and contemplation of options throughout the year, because I know we've continued to quiz you and we're getting information on a moment by moment basis on what we might expect and what we are kind of faced with. Appreciate the options in particular with the Page Lane Park, because I know that's front and center. I've had a lot of people ask me when the park's gonna be ready. Everyone's looking for that. But I'm also sensitive to the fact that we do need to be responsible partners with our water vendors as well as with our community and how we position ourselves. And if we're wanting to save water, we need to do what we can. And I agree with all that you said about the sensitivity and the duty. I did have a couple of questions before I make a suggestion here, but I was also looking at your landscape plan and looking at options A, B, and C here. And I was initially thinking that option B might be a good option, where we at least have something that kind of looks like a park as far as trees and shrubs, but maybe you don't get to throw your frisbee or play football or soccer out there, and be sensitive to that. But as I was looking at the landscape plan, I realized that maybe there could be a couple other options, and I didn't know if you can contemplate this. For example, maybe just doing the east side of the street only, and just kind of really mulch the whole west side and just say, yeah, we're just going to focus on the proposed landscaping for the east side only, and even focusing that even more, because the play amenities are really on that east side, and that's where people want to be going. And perhaps even if we need to focus that further on the core area that's really around the amenities and not the northern or southern parts of that east side, which still could make it an attractive destination, that the parks are there, that the park is there. Maybe not all the turf areas and the play areas, but that core area. And I know I'm just kind of throwing this out at you. I just happened to think of it when I saw the place of. I'm sure all these are viable options. It's just a matter of money. But as far as the, that concept of doing either east side or that core area, was any of that part of the discussion, or, how might that?
Yeah, we did take a
Play
look
out.
at that, because both sides, I know exactly what you're saying, yeah, getting it less and less and less, but the amount of irrigation, I mean, yes, every drop is important, but the proportion of turf to establishing a shrub, it's because it's all drought tolerant planting. It's minuscule compared to the turf.
Mhm.
So that's where we were trying to, we think it was more prudent to do all the turf, I'll do all the shrubs and trees and have the entire park. Remember too, because the parks do have walking paths throughout. There are fitness stations on either side. So we want to encourage the patrons to use the entire 14 acres. And whether it's perimeter walking, doing figure eights or whatever it is. And then we said, well, if you're doing that and just for a little bit more, you can get a beautiful walk as you're going around.
Okay. Yeah, appreciate it. Did you have something to add?
Well, and I do want to say one of the big challenges from an optics that this board would have to consider if the city would even actually allow for it is the fact that in order to establish grass, you have to water it 3 times a day. So it's super visible.
Oh, yeah. No,
Water spraying all over as opposed to drip irrigation.
Right.
So it's not just the volume, but it's the visibility of,
No,
us.
I was thinking no turf. Because
Yeah.
I was good, option B says no turf.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, agreeing to that with the mulch on all those areas, but just even to further reduce that. Again, I just didn't know if that was even part of the discussion.
Yeah, no, good. Yeah, was part of the discussion. Good thoughts, but yeah, we just, I said a little bit more. We
Okay.
can get some a great park out of it.
And the reason that I was suggesting option B, I'm anxious to hear from my colleagues here as well, is, as you pointed out, we have 3 levels above us. There's a federal government, the state government, and the Metropolitan Water District, which, okay, I guess is part of that too, that all have the option to tell us how we're going to use our water and what water we have available. It's not going to be our decision. And I just see this as if September comes and if things don't look in September, October, November, there's going to be greater and greater chances of of options to get less and less. Hopefully we get some rain this winter, but looking at last winter, it doesn't look too promising. But I agree that I think the trees and the shrubs, even with that minuscule amount of water, should be able to survive over the winter into the spring, where I know the turf would not. So that's why I would support option B, where it may not function fully as a park, but it still kind of looks as it was intended. And then what I'm also thinking, even though the option B talks about 2,000 units in the spring for turf establishment, I say, hey, well, when spring comes, we'll do a reassessment.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
It's not fixed. It would just take this 1 month as it comes, but to go ahead and start with the trees and the shrubs, and then we'll just play it by ear when it comes to the turf, and when it looks like it's okay, we'll go from there. So yeah,
Right.
that was my suggestion. Be anxious to hear what my fellow board members have to say on that.
Well, that's an interesting idea about just doing the east side, but I can certainly understand why you can't segment it that much. You presented us with the 3 options, but from your discussion, it sounds like you and staff are heavily leaning towards option B.
Correct.
Which I agree with Director Nichols that having the trees and shrubs and at least an appearance of a park, option C, people are gonna look at it and say, huh? That they have no green of any kind out there, I think would be pretty miserable. So I too agree that option D is probably the best way to go. I suspect you guys have already decided what way you want to go, but
No.
what was, assuming none of this was happening, what was the timing? I mean, when were you originally planning on starting to plant the turf and the shrubs and the trees?
About 6 weeks from now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we would be getting pretty close to the end of August, early September. You said the completion in summer of 2022, but be more like the fall of 22.
Yeah, because a lot of times, especially with turf and lands, I mean, you can, except for turf, we'd be putting the sod down and then you wouldn't be able to go on it for a little bit, but yeah, we could open up the park fairly quickly, after we put everything down.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think option B is probably the best. I mean, turf is, I was amazed. I was gone for 2 weeks. Before I left, I said, I have a little patch of grass in my backyard. Shh, don't tell anybody, for my grandkids. But set the timer to once a week for 15 minutes, and just in 2 weeks, it came back and it's already starting to brown and disappear. So, trying to do turf when we don't know that we're going to be able to do any watering or very little watering, I don't think makes sense. So.
I'm sure I just had one question. With part of this, I didn't see anything, but would all the irrigation infrastructure be installed for all components?
Yes.
Turf and shrubs and trees at the
Yes.
same time?
Correct.
So all that would be done. It's just a matter of putting the sod down or casting seed.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, also option B to me is really the only option, or else you don't really have a park. And I think most people would appreciate at this time that you're putting in drought tolerant plants and mulch. I mean, it's an example. Like, look, this looks nice. You could do this in your front yard. This would look nice. Do something like this. So I think that, is something that we could mention.
Mhm.
And when we break ground, we could say, this looks nice. We are hoping that if the drought, ends, that we'll be able to put in the grass that we had planned. But if not, this looks nice. And, this neighborhood hasn't had basketball courts, volleyball courts, a playground like this. The walking path, I know that everybody up in the Caneo Oaks area, I know a lot of people up there are very excited about the continuation of the walking path. So, I mean, there's enough good things happening at this park that the fact that you maybe aren't going to be, hitting a baseball or kicking a soccer ball around is just, one small part.
Mhm.
You're still gonna have picnic benches,
Yes.
right? You're still gonna have all those things. So it's gonna be a great park. And I think we have to really emphasize about what we have, because if it doesn't rain, this may end up being what a lot of our parks look like. So hopefully not, but let's emphasize what we have and what is good,
Yeah.
and move forward. So
And we'll do some public outreach when it comes closer. So people aren't questioning, like, what are you doing or why you're not doing this? So we'll send out some letters to the residences and let them know what's going on.
well, I know one of my friends that lives in the Caneo Oaks area, she said, I'm so excited for the park to come. And I said, yeah, they're kind of wondering what to do. 'Cause they were supposed to have a lot of turf. And so that's probably not going to go in. She goes, well, it can't go in. I mean, she's immediately thinking, well, you can't start watering grass over
Yeah.
there. And I said, no, they wouldn't do that until, we're in a better situation. It would be a horrible example.
Mhm.
So I don't think there's any way that we would want to do that. We want to be encouraging for,
Mhm.
the good things we do have. And I don't think anybody would mind, drought tolerant things going in. That's a real positive. Can the mulch be reused? Or does it have to go into a landfill?
Generally, yes, but it just depends. Sometimes it breaks down a little bit. It depends how long it's there. It might break down a little bit too much and becomes more of dirt and dust.
Okay. I was just wondering, because hopefully it could at least be reused.
I mean,
Okay.
best case scenario, we would just be putting it on site, just in different places.
Okay. But that would probably be the cheapest thing to do. Yes, we wouldn't have to move it very far.
Another good spot a good thing about that spot is, as you mentioned, the walkway, there's grass just up the walkway at the soccer field.
As I said, if you want to see
Yeah.
grass and kick a soccer ball around, just
Exactly.
go up the path.
Well,
So,
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And this will be nice. A lot of people ride their bikes around there and a lot of kids do go up to the soccer field and do things. So, I mean, let's open up the park and let's really emphasize about what's great about it. So, and I think it's great that you've done such a good job and that you've made these options, and I'm sure it will go over well with the community. So there's, yes, do you want to say something?
Just one other, you were talking about outreach, and perhaps you've already thought of this, but if you were to reach out to all the various sports groups that use grass fields, whether it's baseball or football or soccer or whatever it is, and ask them to pass the word along to their users. I mean, you've got between the different AYSO regions and the baseball clubs, you've got thousands of families whose kids use these grass fields. And if you use I mean, they have all of these families' email addresses and contacts and websites and all the other stuff. Use them to leverage the messaging that the district is doing.
Yeah, I'll work with sports and put out the word to all the groups.
And where did you say these big signs are going out?
Every park, and then this one is going out on all this playfields.
Good, okay.
Community park and playfield,
Yeah.
but we can double up, like I said, with reaching out to all the groups and so then they could put out the message to their users.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I happen to be the web manager for AYSO 9, I could, you know, if I get a graphic on that, I can throw it on our website, so.
Okay.
I was wondering, because I noticed as I was going down the street, some lawns are very visibly turning brown in my neighborhood and others aren't. I wonder if we offered signs like that to people whose lawns are going brown, that they put that on their lawn or something.
Or put it on the green lawns.
Yeah. But I mean, it would be saying like,
In the
hey,
dark of night.
this is what I'm doing.
Yeah,
You know,
here's our,
maybe,
oh, it's like a vote for me type thing. It's like, well,
right.
Chuck agrees to put a sign in his yard because he's protecting our parks.
Well, you know, or especially people, I thought of it when he was talking about, you know, AYSO, like they have a real reason to want to be protecting those fields. And, you know, you could even say, save the soccer fields, lose your lawn.
Yeah.
You know, something like that, if they were really serious about
Yeah,
it.
and we've got a few ideas that we've discussed and I haven't talked with Rochelle or the marketing folks about like word contests and things like that too. So just, hey, look what I did. You know, look what I did to my lawn to protect the parks.
I was wondering what it says on the one, but I can't read the words.
It just brags and says, you know, hey, we want to keep your parks playable and safe. We've converted 70 acres of turf, reclaimed irrigation of some parks, and we're developing new parks with water-wise improvements, resulting in 33% overall water reduction. Find out more here.
Okay,
It's
That's great.
actually it's the one paragraph in the board report that we have.
fabulous. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, now we're moving on. I'm assuming, Mr. Friedel, you're going to talk about our revenue measure status.
Yes, thank you, Chair Cusworth, members of the board and our ad hoc revenue committee folks are here as well. So if you guys want to chime in at any point, but I was gonna ever so briefly just tear through the top line survey key findings. And I do want to preface this is under the CRPD's website under our community conversation tab that we've had going. As the board will recall, we started this investigation and adventure before COVID. We got the consultant team to start helping us look and evaluate whether a revenue measure might be appropriate and valuable for the Canal-Reckon Park District to generate a little money. We did a survey a year ago that indicated that there was public support at the 2/3 level, which is what we would need to pass a revenue measure, but that it could use a little shoring up, and they recommended the consultants, you know, take a little time, do a little more work, and then we'll survey closer to when you would have to decide whether or not to place something on the ballot. And we waited about as long as you could. May, we did the survey in May, and you can see here, we did a May 9th through the 19th. We did a survey. We spoke to or had internet surveys done by 610 folks, which at the full sample is a 4.4% margin of error. So our consultant is comfortable that this is a statistically valid survey. Next slide, please. Next slide. So the great news is, even though May, we were dealing with sort of the recent development of the war in Ukraine and inflation and gas prices and murmurs of the drought just kind of starting up. Lots of reasons to have the public just kind of be in a foul mood, to be honest. The Park District still enjoyed very high favorable ratings. So that's really awesome. We held strong from 21 to 22 despite that souring public mood. So next slide, please. And the perception of need, though, dropped a bit, right? So in 21, there was, perception that we had a greater some need. And I think in 22, it did drop a bit. And in part, I think that's because the callers are evaluating that need based on their own needs as well. And obviously inflation and gas prices and all the different reasons things have gotten a bit more expensive. The crashing stock market was those 2 weeks of the survey as well. So we just had every single thing working against us on sort of a bigger level outside the district. So you could see that great need, which is the passion, dropped a bit. And that was something the consultants pointed out as a kind of a red, like a flashing red light on whether you might want to move ahead. Next slide. So the interest in an actual potential revenue measure, next slide, was the revenue measure. And I think it's worth sharing. And there's been a whole lot of folks we've talked to about this and shared this with. And after looking at a bunch of different options and variables and ways to do it, we settled on 2 cents per building square footage. So for like a regular 2,000 square foot residential home, that would be about $40 more per year. Adding that all up together throughout the entire community would have added about $2.4 million to the district's $27 million budget or thereabouts. So, in terms of an impact to our overall budget, it would have boosted it by about 8 or 9%, which would be really great, and we'd be able to do a lot of great things with it. But it isn't the kind of money that makes completely transformative, but it does keep us able to operate at a high level and add new amenities. Next slide, please. So this is the punchline, and this is where the consultants kind of said, probably not the time. So we do find out that 60%, if you get the kind of leaning yeses to be added to the definite and probably yeses, you get a solid 60% of the folks interested in supporting additional investments into their parks, into their backyards, essentially. But that isn't 67%. And that's what we need to, get over. So even if, we had all of those undecided say yes, we still have to pick up another 7% under, a 10% undecided. And the consultant, based on their expertise, are suggesting that's a little bit of a high bar to try to cross in this environment. And one of the variables that in May wasn't quite as apparent as it is now today is as we get further and closer to a November election, in addition to all the other headwinds, we are going to have a community that looks browner and drier, and the upset regarding everybody's lack of ability to water is just going to be yet another little warning sign. So I think, working with the committee, and I know the committee members can certainly speak for themselves, it just didn't seem like the right time to make a recommendation to the full board to try to put this on the November 22 ballot. So I think we're just gonna stop it there, and we're gonna kind of leave it at that. It's not likely we're gonna, the committee's here. The committee didn't want to make a recommendation to move forward, and I, as staff, would agree with that. That's certainly the consultant's recommendation. But I do want to say, again, when we did survey, we did poll very strong in terms of a favorability rating. And even to hit that 60% target in this environment, the consultants were actually pretty surprised and kind of they're like, wow, those are actually really good numbers compared to what we're seeing with other testing we're doing out there. So we just got a tough set of circumstances really outside our control that kind of make it not the most likely success effort. So I think that's where we'll leave it. I'm available for questions. The committee's here.
Any questions?
Board members.
Director Nichols, no questions?
No questions.
Yes.
Not a question so much as comment. We sat through the meeting a few weeks ago and saw the numbers, and we were close a year ago in the survey, not close enough in the experts' opinions to make it sense to give it a try. One of the I think it was one of the consultants, but somebody in the Zoom meeting that we had several weeks ago with the subcommittee said, well, would it hurt if you tried and failed? Does that look good or bad down the road when you try again? And the consensus seemed to be, you sort of look like a loser if you tried and failed. It's better to not try and wait till the environment is a little better and continue to push the community conversation that we've been doing as a district for 6 months or something like that. So with some additional time, and hopefully the environment would be better in 2 years, give it a shot perhaps in some other time, 2 years probably. They said that off-year elections generally aren't good for measures like this. So if we were to look at it again, it probably would be in 24. But it's disappointing, it was looking doable a year ago, but not so much so now.
Yes, the consultants, we spent some time, we interviewed a few people to be our consultants. We chose these people because we thought that they showed the most expertise, and they were very definitely not positive with us going forward. There wasn't any question that they were not positive. Even trying to be very nice, but kind of just giving the attitude that you would be highly foolish if you went on with this. And so I felt that we were paying them for their expertise. We should, listen to their suggestions. They also said we should, in a couple of years, have more voters from the demographic that we're looking for. So that should help us. I don't think that any of our community outreach has hurt us in any way. And it can only help us to, continue on having a positive stance to our community. So I was very disappointed. I went into the meeting thinking, I don't care what they say. Everybody loves CRPD. We're going to go for it. And by the end of the meeting, I was a little deflated and thought maybe we shouldn't. It would have been a lot of time. It would have been a lot of money. So you kind of want to think that you're at least going to have a bit of a fighting chance if you're going into something. So I'm hoping that in a couple of years, the community is going to, see the need that we have to, maintain what we have. Again, this isn't going to replace any buildings, but it's going to help us maintain the ones that we have. It's going to help us maintain the aging infrastructure we have. It's going to help us, help our open space. We need more rangers. We need, more employees for some of our projects. So, and departments. So, moving forward, we gave it a try. So, all right. And thank you for all of you. I just loved your presentations. I went to a couple of them, and it was wonderful to see all of the good things you were saying about the parks and everybody's reaction. So I think that was all, very beneficial. It's a good thing to go through. So, thank you.
Yes, so thanks, Chair Custer, members of the board. We've been hanging out with the school district under different names for the school district since 1972 at this site. So it's been a long, long time. We did some improvements way back when. We actually had our east side of our grounds operations there from like the early 80s till 2013. So we've had a lot of iterations and a lot of great partnerships with the school district. Since then, it started, it grew, it shrunk a little bit, but when it's all said and done, the beneficial relationship we've had with the community is using this as a park site for Buyer Park at Canal Elementary School. So we've been talking to the school district for a year and a half, 2 years about this. We set aside $100,000 in the budget for improvements for like where we're more park-like improvements. If you've driven by Buyer Park or Canal Elementary School now, chain link fence on the school site, because what's supposed to happen is, or what does happen, excuse me, when it's not being used as a school, it's a park. But sometimes I could see myself as a patron walking down the street and going, I can't go in there, even though there's like the gates unlocked or something. You just don't feel very welcoming that you want to go in there. So we worked with the school district probably about the end of 2021, trying to identify some improvements that we would need there to make it more park-like. And if you looked on the page 96, it kind of gives you a fairly good detail of what we're going to be doing there. So on the driveway there, what's pretty much existing on the east side of the driveway is a wrought iron fence with like brick pilasters or columns, and everyone looked at that as the park. And what was on the west side of the driveway was chain link fence, and again, not very inviting. So what we're working with the school district is we're going to put new wrought iron fence on the corner there, improve the access and the landscaping, put some signage there so that corner of the driveway, and I believe that's Las Filas, that you feel it's very welcoming to get up there. You can walk up to the playground, putting some additional concrete and some additional landscaping, and put a bench there, so it gives a better feeling that this is a park, and it's an entrance to the park and feels very welcoming. And the top, this is just one small part. The school district is doing a very large project at Canal Elementary School, so their contractor is going to be doing this also as part of their large project, and this is our contribution to it. Our agreement that we signed with them in 2013 was up in January of 2023. So what this would do is just kind of what we said, okay, for like we're throwing out the old agreement. This one would be effective July 1st, 2022. And then we would just move forward with, and we made this agreement similar to the agreements we made at Lynn Oaks Park, Kenyatta, and Waverly, that as far as the terms and conditions go, with the exceptions, we're also adding, we're granting them $100,000 to do these particular improvements on site, for these park-like improvements for the benefit of the community. And I believe that's about it that I had. And just some other highlights and things are to continue for the existing agreement. Things will continue. It's the same amount of, we're contributing $4,000 a year towards the cost of the maintaining it. We don't do any of the maintenance. The school does all the maintenance and the capital improvements on site. Same thing. It's going to be a school site during school, and it's going to be a park site when school is not in use. And yeah, those are the highlights of the agreement. I'm available for questions.
No questions.
Yeah, the exhibit B improvements. Is that what's in this diagram here on what page 95?
Yeah, 95 is kind of the overall site plan, and then 96 gives you just more specific to that southeast corner of the property.
So the improvements that the school district is putting in and we're helping to fund are the enhanced entry, a walkway, fencing, and a backstop,
Yeah,
and says additional open turf area.
and in this last week or so, we said no to that.
Okay, I was gonna say the
Yeah.
optics of that probably wouldn't be
Yeah,
really.
we
good, so-
agreed to that a few months ago, like, yeah, because nobody was using that as a, whether it's school kids or our park patrons weren't using it as a softball field. So we said, let's get rid of the backstop and turf it in because it's more used for soccer or just running around. But we said, it was just about a week ago. I apologize, I didn't mention that, but we didn't have time to change the exhibit. to show
Okay.
that.
Thank you for clarifying that.
I have a question. So, does the school own the land?
Yes, they do.
And is there a fence surrounding the playground completely all the way around?
What it's not the playground, but the property, which, so it's the whole, the driveway in Los Feliz and up, Pineo School Road.
So when school's not in session, people can go on the property and they would have access to get onto the school grounds?
Not on the school grounds. There'll be a separation.
So there's a fence?
There's a fence within the fence to separate the school buildings from the
From the
park,
playground?
or the park area.
So is there a gate on the side of the school and a gate on the side where the public can access it?
Uh,
So there's two gates.
Yeah.
There's a gate that when the kids want to play on the playground, they go through one gate, the other gate is locked, which has public
Correct.
access when school is in session.
Correct. Correct. There's a-
And then when school is not in session, then this gate would be open and this gate would be locked.
Correct.
Is our CRPD employees locking the gates?
No, it's a school employees.
Okay,
I know.
you know where I'm going.
I know where
with
you're
this.
going. I know where you're going with it too. So I know where she's going with it. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm
She's like
just,
she's like a lawyer asking.
Yeah.
She knows all the answers. But she's still
Don't
asking-
trip over your
She's
answers.
still asking the question. so.
okay, since you know my question, since you know where I'm going with this, do you see any problem on why we can't have the same arrangement at Glenwood School with their basketball and handball courts?
I'd have to ask the school again, but they said that was the principal's decision that they did not want that to happen. But
Okay.
I could ask again.
Because they do have 3 basketball courts
Mhm.
on their property, which are not that one. They did finally fix the backstop, which had been broken for about 2 years, maybe 3. Finally, that is up, still rusted, but it's up there. But it seems to me that if that can happen at Caneo School, it can happen at other schools to give more access to the community. Because I think that this is a good plan when you consider that our school grounds are only open to 5 to 11-year-olds for about an hour and a half to 2 hours a day during school hours. And that these things are not open to the public 24/7 like except for school hours. I mean, this is a lot of recreation property in our community that is not open to the public. And it seems to me like when you have something of this, a gate is there on Glenwood side. There is an existing gate. All we'd have to do is build a fence and another gate. And the school open and close.
Yeah, and I know the school, there's several other different school sites that we did have a discussion with them about sharing use of facilities. And I have followed up, because we talked about 6 months ago or a year ago or so, we talked to them about few school sites. And then out of the blue, someone from Public Works, a friend of mine there says, oh, did you hear the school district was talking about it at their board meeting just the other night? So I did not know that. So I haven't looked up what that item was.
I would just like to see that cooperation going through for the benefit of the community, especially if you're not opening up the entire school site to the public, just a specific area, a small specific area.
I'll follow up with the school district on that.
And it would be the same situation exactly that's happening with Caneo School. there would be, as I can see, there would be no difference.
Sounds like good discussion.
I just talked with Karen Sylvester about that a couple of weeks ago.
It came up with a rich committee.
Rumor. Yeah, it just, my friend in Public Works said, I think they talked about it, he just told me that today. I didn't have time to look at their agenda.
I had a phone conversation with the principal a couple of years ago. I don't need to go into it, but I would like to pursue this.
Yeah.
I would like to see if there were other also portions of the community where maybe this could happen. It would just open up, and this is all nice hardscape that we don't have to water, and it's opening up a lot to the community.
Yeah, and I mean, just my, my opinion, this is just Tom Hare talking. I think in 10, 15 years, there's gonna be some really, a lot more partnerships with the school sites and the park district. That's just my guess, if I could, because it's gonna be required, but really, really needed.
Well, that's wonderful. I think, and I love the school district. I think that that's great, and I love doing partnerships with them, and I love working with them. And I think that they have a lot of the same goals that we do. So it's just a matter of, talking about it. Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to, for a recommendation on this item?
Sure, I'll be
Yes.
happy to make that motion. That we authorize the general manager to enter into a joint use agreement with the Canal Valley Unified School District regarding the Canal Elementary School site.
And the second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, moving on. So we're on our capital improvements grant projects.
Yes.
So is this Mrs. Smith? Mr. Hare again. All righty. Oh, of course it is.
She
This
took
is
my
our,
K's away.
I just saw dollar signs there and I didn't write.
Yeah, I want
Usually I write the
$50,000, all of
name.
a sudden says I'm only getting $50. What the hell?
And these are, this is just such a wonderful thing for our community. This is just one of the things that I so love that we do in the parks, but go ahead. I don't want
Yeah,
to steal
sure.
your thunder.
Thanks, Chair Custer, members of the board. Generally, this is, normally this is a, just an information item only, but this time we got so many requests that we had budgeted $100,000 for it, and you just approved it in the last one, so it was really good. So I'm assuming you're gonna approve the appropriation for this. So we needed an extra $50,000 to accommodate the request that we received. We want to take it from the fund balance of the Edison settlement funds and move it towards the annual CIP grant program. We've been doing this for quite a while, and if this $150,000, if we move forward with this, we're gonna pass the $1.5 million mark of the amount of monies that we've granted to the organizations throughout the year. And just guessing, because some of it's matching, some of it's non-matching. We've had double matching. I haven't done the complete stats. I'd say there's probably about $1 million worth of work that was thrown in by the community, matching our $1.5 million. So that's pretty neat that we've done about $2.5 million worth of improvements for the past 13 years with the community. And there's some really interesting projects out there, some nice projects, but none more exciting than the electrical to the public picnic shade structures at Canary Creek South. No, I just threw that in for Chuck. No, they're all great projects. And then, yeah, it's all great projects, and we look forward to working with the community on this and this year and in the future. I'm available for questions.
Do we have any questions from Mr. Hare? Yes.
Yeah,
Director
I
Nichols.
did have one question. Thank you, Madam Chair. I noticed an organization titled the Ventura County Archaeological Society, but I didn't see that as remember that as a past partner. Is this a new organization or?
No,
worked with
they've been
before?
around for quite a while. It doesn't have to be a partner organization, it just has to be a nonprofit organization. So even if it's a Boy Scout troop, whatever, and they wanted to put a bench in at a particular park, and it just has to, our criteria is nonprofit, and the improvement has to be on a capital improvement on our property. Those are our, I won't say our only requirements, but in general, those are requirements. Now, Ventura County Archaeological Society They've been at Oak Brook Regional Park. They have a sub-agreement. They're directly associated with the Chumash Museum. So we do not have any formal agreement with them, but they approached us 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago regarding, hey, can we go there, and set up shop, because Moore Park College needed the space that they had been in for a few decades. I said, hey, if it's okay with Oak Brook Chumash, go ahead. And so then they made the agreement with each other. So we do not have any formal agreement with the Archaeological Society.
Okay, and then since this is a mobile workstation, and you indicated that it has to be associated with a district facility, is this always going to be stationed there and
Yes.
moved around
Yeah,
the
yeah, sorry,
location?
no, it's mobile because it's not at someone's house. That's where they're setting up a workstation at their facility there, so they can actually work and start cataloging artifacts.
Okay, so it'll be mobile, but always stationed in the
Correct.
museum. Got it.
Correct.
Okay. That was it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Just as an aside to this, when Mr. Hare was at the Stagecoach Inn Museum giving a presentation, an outreach presentation, the president of the Archaeological Society, who also is the curator of archaeology at the Stagecoach Inn, he had a list of our partnerships. He goes, why isn't the Archaeology Society on there? Why isn't the Archaeology Society on there? And he said, well, it's just a sampling, and it kind of went on. And so I thought it was interesting that she wanted to be saying, no,
Right.
we're a part of you too, and you're also supporting us too. It was.
Yeah, I didn't want to embarrass her from everybody. No, we're not partners with you. And I told her that, because I just said, no, this is just, because we had like whatever, a dozen on the list or something like that. I said, no, this is just a sample list. And then when I talked to her after the meeting, I said, we're not partners with you. She's like, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But she definitely wanted to be thought that she
Yes,
was.
She
and-
really wanted.
Must be part of the
And-
team. huh?
Yeah.
Right, and was very thankful for the support that
good.
we've given. So I just thought I would mention that. No, I think this is a great program. And I think initially the money that we took out to fund this for the double matching came out of the Edison money, didn't it? And now
Yes,
we're just taking a
double
little
matching
more.
was this current fiscal year. This is just our back to our single matching. So we got actually additional, I don't know if we mentioned this a lot. It was a long process. It's been 8 months now. But there was as part of the settlement, our representatives had held back some money in escrow for fees and some other jazz. And we ended up with about $250,000, give or take, of additional monies from the settlement that, like we're almost like we
Right.
forgot, but like, whoa, okay, hey, thanks. So this is some additional monies that we received.
And so this is starting from July forward.
Yes, July
is your
1st.
next
Yeah, I'll send everybody the agreements tomorrow for signing, but it becomes effective on July 1st.
Okay, great. All right, so do I have a motion for this, for a recommendation that we appropriate this money? Mr. Huffer?
I'd like to move approval of staff recommendation to appropriate 50,000 of unassigned funds from the settlement funds for the annual CIP grant program.
Second?
I'll second this for 2 reasons, because I think it's a great program. We get a lot of bang for the buck. And secondly, because the settlement funds were intended for the community. So I think it's a win-win. So I'll be happy to second that motion.
Oh, thank you very much. And all in favor?
Aye.
I'm
Aye. Motion passes. You all do such great motions for us that they usually pass. All right, so we're moving on to 9C, and this is to approve the Mountains Recreation Conservation. Oh, I was gonna just say, I got it right here. Mrs. Smith.
Thank you, Chair Cuthbert and directors. So we have the preliminary MRCA budget. The MRCA budget's a little differently. It's on a 1-year cycle, not a 2-year. And typically the practice is that the preliminary budget uses current year actual estimates as the baseline for the following year. This is largely because so much of the budget is based on projects. So again, it's kind of similar to our preliminary budget. This is to allow for spending authority as of July 1, and then we'll be coming back with the final version, hopefully next month or the following. Some of the biggest changes that we do have in there is on the revenue side. We have some assumed new grants. And then the very exciting one is the first use of our reserve funds that we set up for MRCA. So they didn't have reserve funds a year ago, and now they do. So that was great. And they set up a capital asset improvement reserve that was designed to use $500,000 a year to address some of the capital improvements that we typically can't get grant funding for. So that's on there as well as the salary savings offset. And that's just because we have several vacant positions that we don't anticipate to be able to fill exactly at July 1. So we're assuming that some of those savings are going to be reflected, but the biggest changes are on the expense side. It's page 107 of your packet. You'll see both the salaries and benefits changes are about a 12% increase from actuals estimated this year. That is not a 12% COLA or anything like that. That is mostly because of filling vacant positions, minimum wage increases. They also added 2 new holidays as part of their recruitment and retention efforts to get new people. And we assume some increases in other payroll components like workers' compensation, medical insurance, and retirement. The other big increase is the insurance costs. So since 2020, both general liability and auto insurance have increased greatly from 1.1 million to about 2.2 is what we're expecting. So it's a big hit. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should call to your attention, but again, it's just the preliminary, and we'll be back with more details in the next one. So with that, I'm available for questions.
Do we have any questions? Please.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Smith, for that. You explained some of my questions in advance. You knew what we were thinking, so I appreciate that. I did have another question, however. I noticed there is a salary savings offset of $500,000 there, but then there's also an increase in salaries.
Yes.
So is some of that 500,000 going towards those salaries, that offset?
Yes, so we wanted to budget the full year amount so we can hire people as soon as we possibly can. So we have the authority as of July 1, but the
Okay.
salary offset savings is because we know we're not going to get everybody filled as of July 1.
Okay, so yeah.
It's
obviously
because of that delay in hiring, and we're guessing
Yes,
about $500,000
It's
in
a,
that.
it's a process.
Yes.
So it's there for the year, but it probably won't get, I got you.
Correct.
Okay, that should take care of it. Thank you.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, because it doesn't really affect the proposed preliminary budget, but just curious, in the revenue side, the grants, other intergovernmental, it's easy for me to say, huge drop from the approved fiscal year 21-22 to the estimate 21-22. Was there some big grant that didn't come through, or?
So the way those are typically granted, and you'll see on the expense side, the land and improvements have similar fluctuations. It's usually because of a large project, typically an acquisition. That year, I think it was 3 large grants for some camp rebuilds through state funds. And so some of them have gone through and some are taking longer. So it's getting spread out more. But yeah, it's usually a big acquisition or a big project that's causing
Okay.
that.
Just curious.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Questions? Yeah, I have no questions. So do I have a recommendation to approve?
I'll make that motion to approve the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority preliminary budget for fiscal year 2022 to 2023.
Thank you. Right, Director Sutton, all approved?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. So now we have a new full-time position. That was a sorry.
Kelly, is your mic on?
Well, I just turned it on. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna have a new full-time position, and I think it's signed down here by Mrs. Smith, but we have Rochelle Callis has her name. So. who
Yes,
wa-
it
who
was a
wants to talk
dual
about
effort.
this? A dual effort.
Yes, I took a day off. So it got signed by
So would,
Melissa.
would you like to talk to us about this?
Sure, yes. So basically, thank you, Chair, Cuthbert, members of the board. This is, we are proposing a new full-time marketing assistant position. If you'll, it was a while ago when Kathy was here, we had some discussions in regards to the marketing department growing and how hard it is to find assistants to work with the marketing being a part-time position. So we actually, over a year ago, put the dollars in the budget, and then COVID happened and Kathy retired and Charlene got hired new. And it was just, we were trying to figure out our system again. And so we did not hire an actual full-time position. So when our current assistant just left, we decided to bring that back up to the forefront. It is in the budget again this year, so I'm not asking for additional funds. But I did realize we had never brought to you a full-time job description. So this went to our, you guys should have this in your packets, but it went to Ralph Anderson Associates to look over and approve it. And they did recommend that it be at a range of 35 along with our other full-time staff salaries. And so with that, I am looking for approval of the new full-time job description and the ability to hire the position. And I'm available for questions.
Any questions? Yes, Director Holt.
I'm just curious, when you say Kathy, are you talking about Kathy Harrison?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to verify that she's now my cat sitter.
Oh.
But I was thinking that was her position.
Well, we filled her position with Charlene, and that was full-time already. But when Kathy was here, we were discussing hiring her an additional, bumping the part-time person to full-time. But when she retired, we just never got to it. And then COVID hit and all that good stuff. So.
Thank you for that clarification. And Director Nichols.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you please explain to me who or what positions right now comprise the marketing team?
Charlene is our supervisor of marketing. She is full-time. And there's currently, or was, a part-time position as an assistant marketing person. And they used to be at 20 hours, then we bumped them up to 25, and then we bumped them up to 30, and then we bumped them up to 35. And then we put in the budget, the full-time, thinking that we would go to full-time. So right now it's only Charlene because Devon left. So we're looking to move that position officially from part-time to full-time.
Okay,
So there would be 2 full-time people, supervisor and an assistant,
and who does the supervisor report to?
me.
Gotcha, okay, just trying to keep a visual organization chart here.
Me in partnership with Tom and Melissa and Jim with whatever they need to.
Okay, so in essence, the 35-hour part-time employee is currently on the books and is an approved position. And so that one will disappear and it'll become a full-time position.
The position that's actually currently in the budget is the full-time position. We just never moved someone into that dollar amount. So we were always, if you look at the budget, we were saving money all year because we didn't have that full-time position. We had a part-time position.
So the position has been approved, but the budgeting to support it was not.
Other way around. The
Gotcha,
budget, the
okay.
money's in the budget, but we never moved it because of all the transition with staffing and then COVID and everything, that we just didn't know where things were going to sit. So I didn't hire that. I didn't hire full-time. I hired part-time.
Okay,
So we never used the dollars.
gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get all this clarified
Yeah,
here.
sorry if I wasn't
And-
clear.
And just as a side note, so to speak, I understand, incrementally 20, 25, 30, 35. But why 30, why do we have, I guess, a 35-hour position, which is almost a full-time position, but not quite? And I'm thinking, okay, that person really can't go out and get another job. So, why do we have 35-hour positions? I don't know, maybe this is more of a Melissa answer, but just questioning, why do we even have those as an option?
I don't have a real great clear answer. We just have part-time positions that do allow for the different hours. I would say that 40 hours is when you put in additional benefits and stuff.
Yeah.
And so all of our 40-hour people have to be approved by you guys. So
Correct.
our part-time folks, and we don't have a lot of them, but we do have, I would say in my department, maybe about 10 to 15, probably 30 to 35 hours. So it just depends on the weekend stuff.
Okay, all right.
So like all of our specialists that were here today, they're 30 to 35 hours.
Okay. All right, well, that's it. Like I said, it's kind of a
Mhm.
side note, but it just kind of caught my attention. And then I know we have Mustang Marketing on a retainer. What is their role in the marketing realm? Do they work with Charlene?
They have been helping us with some community outreach projects specific, and they
okay.
were also hired during the time where Kathy left and Charlene came in
Okay,
to fill some gaps and stuff. So.
Okay. All right. So that's a whole separate issue then. Okay,
Mhm.
all right. So they're really not part of this marketing team per se. Okay.
Correct.
And then lastly, I just was reading through the essential duties and responsibilities. It seemed like this person has to be pretty much like a computer geek practically. So I'm just trying to figure out is this like the new marketing world that, I mean, you have to be social media adept and you're on the website, and I mean, almost every one of these positions has to do something with either on a cell phone or in front of a computer.
Absolutely.
And is that where the new marketing world is, where you have to know all the software, and it's not
Mhm.
just, doing community surveys or things like that?
No, yeah, it's computer stuff. It's back of the house research. It's reading, James knows more of the words than I do, the analytics on the back end. It's
Yes.
using different applications to do graphics and marketing and branding, but it's all on the computer.
I see that, yeah.
They're not like drawing anything with their hands. It's all on the computer.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, it just kind of caught my, because I'm thinking marketing with someone out there, with a sales pitch or something, trying to get there, but this is a whole different realm.
Mhm.
So, all right, thank you, Madam Chair.
No. Motion.
Oh, well, I have something to say.
Oh, go ahead.
Is this person already hired?
No,
No.
you guys have to approve the job description and okay
I
it
thought
for
you
me.
might just have them, hanging out.
No,
until
I
we
don't
approve
have it.
this.
I mean,
Okay.
maybe there's someone on our team that's interested in it. So it'll end up being posted up into the general public and anybody internal.
Well, I think that Charlene's doing an excellent job, and I think that it's very good that she needs an assistant. I see her everywhere. So, and I'm all for this. All right, we need a recommendation. Make a motion. Director Huffer?
I would love to make a motion to, since Michelle tells us we're gonna have a new position that doesn't cost us anything, that's great. So gonna move that we approve the new full-time position and job description for the marketing assistant position.
I second.
Okay, all approved.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any opposed? All right, so we're going to move on to our recreation highlights. So, and park dedication fee, is there any comments that we have? No? Okay, so let's have our reports. Parks Division. Any questions? Well, I'm very excited about these pickleball meetings because I'm thinking when I retire, I could potentially, this could be the thing I'm good at. But I need to have something in Thousand Oaks. I wonder if I'll be able to beat you at pickleball. I mean, does it take size? Could small people be really good at this? But I'm fast. Okay, we'll see. So that will be exciting. Anything else that anybody would like to talk to Mr. Heron? Okay, moving on, Mrs. Callis.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. Touch a Truck is this Saturday from 10 to 2. So if you guys want to come by, say hi, see the big trucks.
What is it? I didn't-
Touch a Truck. Thousand Oaks Community Center. Yep.
Oh,
And
touch it.
it's back to normal. Yep. 10 to 2. And just be prepared to probably walk quite a distance, just because if you get there after 2, it'll probably be really packed. But you can park in the high school parking lot also. Movie at McCray is on Saturday. First week of camp is coming to a close and it has been great. And I just want to say I am so proud of our staff. There are so many new camp counselors, first time camp counselors. And if you know, that means there's a lot of additional training that goes into that. So our staff have been doing that training and it's just, they've hit the road running, and knock on wood, I have not heard anything of concern. So they're doing really good out there. The pools are all open and they are rocking. I went by all 3 of them on, I think, Monday or Tuesday, and Dee and Xavier and their pool managers are just busy as all heck, and people are having just a great time. So it's so nice to see so many people out and about. And then just lastly, tickets for 4th of July. Tell your friends they can buy for $100 parking space up here and get the front view of the fireworks show. And I think that's it. So any other questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Do we have any questions for Mrs. Callis? No? Okay, well, I have just a couple of questions or a comment. Once I've been over at the library park, and is that where one of the camps is taking place?
Yes.
It looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, the
I
Thousand
saw
Oaks
the
camp is
kids
over there.
doing a lot of different things. I thought it was a huge birthday party at first. And I told my grandkids, that's somebody's birthday party, so don't go over there, and crash the party. Then I realized, oh no, that looks like that could be one of our camps.
Yeah, you can usually identify our staff there. I think this year they're wearing either blue shirts or bright green shirts.
It
And it
looked
usually
like-
says director or staff on their back. So we should be able to identify them.
No, as soon as I got closer, I saw it. 'Cause I thought, oh, wow, this is one big birthday party.
Yeah.
The other thing, are we gonna have any movies in the park this summer? I noticed that Pleasant Valley, they sent me an email and they have movies in the park. Is that anything we're gonna
Yes.
do anymore?
We already had our first one in May and was a little bit cold, so not as many people turned out as we'd hope. And we will have another one in, I believe, August and September are the next 2. And you can look on our website. They've already, I think Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is the next one. And, oh, that was the first one. Tom went and saw that one. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Encanto. Yeah, so we've got 2 coming up.
Okay, great.
Yep.
All righty, moving on to management services.
Thank you. I have no report, but I'm available for questions.
Do we have any questions? No? All right, general manager.
Yes, thank you, Chair Cusworth, members of the board. This is somewhat of a momentous meeting, just because it's the close of the fiscal year. It's the last time we're together. So this is often the kind of meeting because of the nature of the business, we take care of the budget and camp is starting. I get to take just a minute to express my extreme gratitude to my professional staff. Melissa for working with everybody and bringing together the budget for not just CRPD, but MRCA. And Rochelle for managing and navigating lots of staff in an ever-changing environment and getting all those camps and all those kids involved and out there doing something this summer. And then Tom, of course, this is, he's already got the agreements. What'd I say? No, but I mean, we heard Tom, he knows our parks and managing through the drought. He was a rock star, literally the poster child from the Cayugas Water District and others for managing through the last drought. We've got his experience as we go into this next one. And also the capital, like he mentioned, these, I don't know, 12 or 15 different organizations that are going to have these projects. He's already got the contracts all written. He's just going to send them a DocuSign and he's on it. He's on it. So anyway, this is a great opportunity for me to just thank our professional staff. Aleen's okay, but she's not here, so I won't say anything nice about Aleen. So James, thanks for filling in. And then our staff here, end of the fiscal year, you guys, the technical crew, our cultural unit and Mark have kept us going, and thank you for being here. And Cameron, jumping in and IT and keeping us going. So thank you guys. And fiscal year is a big deal for us. We're closing everything out and getting ready to have a fresh new start. So, this is my chance to just say thank you to staff. Then really quickly, we do have the need for closed session. The city is doing TO Arts in the Park. Yeah, boo. The city is doing TO Arts, the city and TO Arts, the nonprofit TO Arts together are doing a lot of programming in our parks over the summer. And this even weekend, I think there's a few, and I apologize, I don't know what those are, but there's like 2 a week, and they're doing a great job of visiting our neighborhood parks and doing some really cool programming in them, which is awesome. We have a staff level cricket meeting to address some of the requests we heard from the cricket organization, and we asked a whole bunch of questions and want information of them as well. So we have we're trying to build up a base of knowledge so that we can kind of properly advise, next steps, if any, on that. I sent an email earlier tonight about Tex Ward Point. It is not an open to the public general sort of an event, but on July 9th, that's when we'll do the dedication. Oh, did I say the 9th? 8th, the 8th, right? 7, 8. I hope my email said the 8th. Okay. I was like, oh no. Okay, good. Yeah, so the 8th. And I did mention that we have the need for a closed session. And does anyone have the card for Diane, just or wherever that ended up? The not card, but the packet. I'll ask you that later. That's it. I'm available for questions.
Any questions? I'll just add to it because I'm excited about these concerts. This Friday, it's going to be like California stuff with Beach Boys and movie things that have California mentioned. So it's kind of beachy. I'm going to go at Suburbia Park, and I wanted to go to the Celtic one at Kimbers Park tomorrow, but it's McRae Ranch. So I'm going to go see Sullivan's Travels. There's so much to do in this community. You just can't get to it all. So let's move on with our director's reports. So how about if we start over here with Director Nichols? Would you like to tell us what's been going on?
Sure, that compared to last time, it's been very slow. Had a meeting with the general manager, and then also had a CARPD, California Association of Rec and Park District board meeting where we were just kind of reviewing the conference as a wrap up. Had some good reports. Broke even, actually came ahead a few $100, which was good. But overall went quite well. And that was it. So was a couple of meetings in between. That will be August 31st. Yeah, it's we'll have a board meeting the day before, or afternoon, evening, and then a field tour on the following day. So 30th, 31st.
Are you always traveling up north to go to all these meetings?
About half the time. We try to have some of them Zoom meeting because there's a number of us from Southern California. And since our meetings are usually only about 2 hours and travel to Sacramento back takes a full day.
Yeah.
It's maybe not our most efficient use of our full day schedule. So at our request, they have a couple, we meet about 6 times a year, one of which is at the annual conference. So there's just 5 meetings throughout the rest of the year. And so we have 3 of them together and 2 of them are via Zoom.
No, that's still quite a bit of dedication.
Well, it gets me out of town periodically, but it's a
So-
good group, very good group.
Director Holt.
There were, we did have a meeting, Melissa. Say anything about that meeting that we had? You were there and I was-
Yeah, it was the update on the survey results that everybody had a similar meeting to.
Okay. So that was other than, I think that's the only extra thing that happened.
Okay, Director Huffer.
Well, I spent the last 2 weeks with a detailed study of all of the parks and recreation facilities and programs in Ohio. And I'm pleased to report that none is better than the Canal Recreation and Park District. Well, they did have pickleball lessons at my college reunion.
Hmm.
I decided I'm not going to take up pickleball and wish we could figure out some way, because driving around and walking around out there with all the green trees and green grass and huge 2-acre lawns, all green. I thought, oh man, would I love to have that.
And
So-
no irrigation, right?
No irrigation. It's all natural. So nothing happened the last 2 weeks.
So was our last meeting in May? Is this the first one in June or the second?
Second.
This is the second, okay. So, one thing I did that I don't know if I mentioned, because Director Nichols said they were gonna be playing cricket over at Pepper Tree.
Oh, yeah, but they mentioned that at the last meeting, yes.
Oh, I did mention that I went over there?
Well, no, Jim said that they were going to be playing cricket there.
Yeah, so I went over there because I had going to Pepper Tree on my calendar. So I went over and talked to them and they showed me everything they need. It was very interesting to see actually a live cricket game because I had never seen one before. So that was nice, a very nice group of people. And then I went over to the Lynn Oaks. I don't know if I mentioned that. I haven't been to many of those meetings, if any. And so, of course, the people were very positive, as Tom mentioned, but I thought it was interesting how rumors can get started. Because as people were going over to talk to Tom and Andrew, I kind of just, kind of left. And as I was leaving, somebody came up to me and said, what's that meeting? What was that meeting up there about? And I said, well, they're just talking about improving the park, this area up here with maybe some walking trails or something, that's school property. And I said, yeah, that's right. And they said, well, have they talked to the school? Because the school is planning to park school buses up there. I said, I don't think so. They have talked to the, this is the park district, and they have talked to the school. And I thought, how would you even park school buses up there? But I don't even know how you would get school buses up there. But he was pretty certain that that's what that area was going to be used for. So it's sort of interesting how rumors can, somebody says something, or maybe when the property was first bought, perhaps that was like a indication of what somebody would want to do. But it's good that we get, information, good information out there. All righty. All right, do we have any requests for subsequent agendas? Any items anybody wants to talk about for other agendas? Do we have any items from the public? No. Okay, so I think I'm going to close this meeting and then we're going to open another meeting. Is that right?
Yeah, we will actually have to come out of closed session to adjourn the meeting. But yes, we're going to go into executive closed session.
So I'm not going to adjourn this meeting at this time.
To the executive closed session.
All right, I'm adjourning this meeting to the executive closed session.